All right, man. First episode, N.O.B.S radio, no option but success. I'm here. My co-host Vincent right now. Vince, talk to the people, man.
How y'all doing? Thank you for having me.
All right, man. So we gonna get into the first topic. I don't know what the first topic is, but music. Let's talk about music, man. People clowning each other for what they like. You know what I'm saying? Just in general, not even on music shit, but how you feel about dealing with other people's interests as far as music. They might like something that you like, might not like something that you don't like. You know what I'm saying? How you deal with that? Because there's a lot of people just, you listen to this dude, that's trash, that kind of thing. So, how you deal with that?
Well, I think
You gotta talk to the front.
a lot of people around me are kind of like that. I feel that my views on music are way farther out there than a lot of people around me, especially going to Mizzou. A lot of people just want to hear like Lil Baby, the Baby, and I don't have a problem with it. But me personally, it gets old. But I try not to get on somebody for what they believe and what they like because it's all subjective. But at the same time, when I share you something that I really enjoy, don't clown it because it's not something that you like. Because I could go ahead and say the same thing about you, but I'm not gonna do that because I understand it at like a higher level that like it's all just subjective. It's whatever you like, and a lot of people aren't music heads like us. So for us to keep people to that same standard, it's a lot to ask for. But I just try to like share a lot of new stuff to people, and if they like it, I'm like, yo, I got a lot more where that came from. So that's really how I feel about it.
Yeah, I feel that. I could speak off like me in high school, going to the record store on the weekends, getting vinyl CDs, and people I was close to in high school, like, bro, why you still buying records? You know what I'm saying? Like streaming, taking off, Apple Music, Spotify. It's like everything that you want to listen to is on the phone. So, but for me, it's like I like collecting records. You know what I'm saying? Stuff I love listening to be able to like, it ain't something I do every day. Pull out a record, but if I feel like it, you know what I'm saying, I do it. Just to have it. Like collecting baseball cards or whatever. People collect different shit. So, records, CDs is one of those things. And yeah, I used to get into it with people all the time. Why you still buying records, bro? It's 2016. Whatever you want to listen to on the phone. But it's like, that's what I like to do. You not paying for it. So, you know, but yeah, you gotta just let people do what they do.
Yeah, I do feel like people love to put their beliefs into other people's heads and try to like continue that social norm. But like as music lovers, I mean, I just started collecting records, because I just got the record player. And then my first record for my collection was Good Kid, Mad City. But my dad has like a ton of old Motown type stuff just laying in the basement. He got the Earth, Wind, and Fire, some Stevie Wonder, all that type of stuff. So we have that. And it was so nice to just bring those out, and hear that like that scratchy noise before it plays. That's pretty cool, and I think there's value in that, to bring it back 2020. But a lot of people won't understand that, and kind of just gotta let them be. But I think something like this podcast, like definitely we could bring more light to older stuff, like you was saying, and just kind of grow together. That's one thing I think we all just got to do in all aspects.
Yeah, I feel that. Um, I know the intro song, August 10th by this band called Kurungbin. They're a group out of Texas, like an indie rock that draw their sound from like a lot of Middle Eastern music and just world genre music. You know what I'm saying? Stuff from all over the place, and I mean, but they not even old though. They dropped, the song that was playing in the intro. That album dropped, you know, a few years ago, I think. So, but yeah, just and one thing I wanted to do with the podcast was throw songs that I like. You know what I'm saying? That it's out of the norm, out of like what's being played on the radio, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Um, just things people can pick up on, because I know I find myself looking at videos. Somebody might throw a song somewhere throughout a podcast or reaction or whatever the video is, and trying to figure out where that what that is, who is it, and stuff like that. And even with the podcast, I want to have like a song of the day when I do the podcast. This is a song that starts it, this is a song that ended. Some people might have heard it, some people might not have, but it's definitely something that you know, something you could walk away with. If you don't listen to the podcast, it's like, yo, the song and the intro was kind of nice. But yeah. So
Yeah, I think as music lovers, we're always looking for something new, you know? How a lot of times you could bring it back to like the newer type of platforms. You got Apple Music. I know I'll just try to find an artist, scroll down to their like at the bottom of their page, they'll have like other artists that are similar to them. I'll do that sometimes, but besides that, going on YouTube, just looking up just certain type of genres and just trying to find something, digging deep into all type of different genres. Like I just started really getting into indie, you know, and like I'm starting at the top. You got your Mac DeMarcos and Jojis, but I don't know too much about it. I'm not gonna sit here like I know everything about it, but like I want to learn more, not just in indie, but like in all different types of genres. And I just really enjoy finding myself at a place where it's just like I really know nothing about it. As for like rap, I can have a conversation for days on that. But finding something that you know like absolutely nothing about, it's just like a brand new journey again. You get that same feeling. Like you ever listen to an album and you get that good feeling, and then you can't get that back because you can't re-listen to it. I mean, you can, but like that fresh new feeling, like the next song, yeah, you've never heard it before, but you get that when you listen to a new genre, you know, and that feeling is kind of sacred to me. That's why I'm always trying to like find it again in new music, but that's just how I feel about it.
yeah, new music is definitely, it's a blessing. When you find something like you said, that a fresh album, something you ain't never heard before. Like I still remember my first few times listening to like Good Kid, Mad City, and The Art of Peer Pressure. Like my favorite song off the album. First time hearing that, and that just takes me back to a whole period in time, like being in high school, summertime, having family barbecues and stuff like that, and just kind of like the ambiance of what was going on around that time. But going outside of just the norm or even hip hop, and finding something, whether it's like indie, it's classic, it's jazz, it's soul, reggae, finding a whole nother groove outside of what you used to is like, it's weird at first because you got to get used to it. Like you don't, it's not anything that you've, I can't say that you've never heard before, but you've never like really listened to. You know what I'm saying? Like never sat down and just listened to a whole Bob Marley album or whole Pink Floyd album. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's like a whole nother world you tap into when you really take the time to like explore something and give yourself the opportunity to listen to something new. You know what I mean? And yeah, I feel like that's one of the best things that anybody can do, especially musicians, like producers and stuff, people that's trying to figure out what their sound is. You know, start with your influences, and whatever you like to listen to, whatever you drawn to, you know what I mean? Not just what's immediate, radio, the normal, like what people play, but what you really have an interest in. You know what I'm saying? Because it's been genres of music I've been hearing my whole life and could never figure out like, yo, what's this I'm be hearing sometimes on the radio? And like, oh, that's soul. You know, that's this artist. That's reggae. That's this artist. That's this genre. And starting to figure out what I've been hearing and why understanding more why I like it. The more I listen to it, it's like, dang, it's so much more out there for everybody. You know what I mean? You just gotta take. I ain't even gonna say take a chance because it's not. You're not taking no risk. It's music. You know what I mean? It ain't gonna do nothing to harm you. It's just like you gotta give yourself the opportunity. Like yo, just sit down, check it out, and see how you feel about it. So, but
Yeah, I think that people kind of like make it a big deal of like listening to new music as if it's just like, no, why would I do that? You know, why would I listen to something outside of like Lil Baby, NBA YoungBoy? Like that's despicable. You know, cause dude, I know this person who like I listen to Frank Ocean, right? And he listens to that type of music, and then he just holds a grudge. You know, it's just like, why wouldn't you just try to listen to it? You know. But I also find it funny how a certain album or like a certain song is attached to a certain part of your history. You know, have you ever listened? Yeah, you're saying like you listen to a song and it brings you back. You know, but I think as music we gotta like keep developing. I remember I saw this one video that Drake said he was just like he was making new music and he was just saying that I can't bring you back to that one time where you was with your girlfriend in college when you was listening to like Take Care. You know, I can't bring you to that feeling, but like we could progress, right? But I do still feel that Drake does need to go back to that, just like straight rapping. Cause I don't know personally, I just feel like he might be riding trends right now. But who am I to say what's wrong or right? Like I said, it's just subjective. But yeah, because maybe he's right. Maybe I just want that old feeling, you know, that more life. I actually really like that, or that nothing was the same, you know, that type of feeling again. But I think all we got to do is just keep moving forward. And like you were saying with all the other genres, you know, I really just love all that. You know, I kind of want to get into country, low key, because I feel that I've always been like, yo, no, I don't like it for no reason at all. But I have no reason to. And some people have put me on to some country people, and it wasn't that bad. It's not like it was terrible, like how I made it seem. But yeah,
yeah, country. I mean, I think there's like a certain type of country, like the generic country that people listen to. You know what I mean? Um, you know what I mean? I'm the more corny, the breakup song. You know what I'm saying? The thick accent. But it's like there's some soulful country music out there. If you really look into it, there are aspects of country music that you don't hear normally. That once you kind of dig for it and find these other songs and these other artists out there, it's like wow, this is actually listen to it. Like I mean, it's a few different country songs I got on my phone that I listen to every once in a while, just because of like you know it just holds something. Like it's real music. You know what I mean? It's not following, like you said, Drake. He might just be following a trend right now, and I mean that's just how things are. Like people see the money in a certain area, so they just gonna kind of gravitate towards that. But I mean Drake doing this thing though. He's right. He if not the greatest of this generation, one of the greatest of this generation. You know what I mean? And you can't really hate him for that. How he did it. So I mean, but yeah. So definitely just finding going deeper than the surface as far as music is concerned. You know, people. I mean, not people, but like you gonna see a certain type of this music. Whether it's country music, you gonna hear a certain type of country music. You know what I mean? The corny, generic type that you just hear over and over again and probably laugh at. But it's like, you gotta take the time to really kind of see what's underneath the surface for yourself and be like,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually dope.
Yeah.
They're actually making some real music with like some, that means something. Or it's soulful, it's passion in it. However it hits you. But shit, I've been all over the place as far as my listening. Like the intro song. I've been listening to them. They just dropped a new album. Um, more Kim Dot, I think that's his name. I've been listening to him.
Wait, which one?
Kim Dot,
Chicago?
yeah.
Femdot.
Fem Dot, jeez. Fem Dot,
Yeah, he's good.
yeah. I thought I was messing his name up, but yeah, Fem Dot, 94 Camry music,
Yeah. Oh something.
yeah.
Yeah. He's
Um,
good. Yeah.
but yeah, some soulful music, jazz stuff like that. Um, more instrumental. The Minahan Street Band, they're a group out of New York, and they do a lot of live instrument recording songs and things like that. So yeah,
Well, speaking of Femdot, like going to Mizzou, there's this one artist I know named Jay Wood, and he actually knows Femdot, and like we talked about that, and it was just pretty cool to just see how. Well, he's actually from Chicago too, but it's just funny to see how these artists that you see are like actually bigger. You know, they like spread all around. You know, and like speaking of diving deep, you always got the underground of like every genre. Like Femdot, I'd say he's underground rap. Would you say that?
yeah, he ain't broke through yet.
Yeah. Like there's I don't know the qualifications you need in order to like say that you're like higher than underground. Cause like even Smino, I don't know if he's still underground. If there's a middle section, is there like.
I don't know if there's like, I mean, it's hard to tell because I know, like going to school in Connecticut, there's an artist, Jack Harlow.
Mm-hmm.
I remember hearing about him when I first got there my freshman year, and like, he was still on the come up. Like he didn't pop yet. You know what I mean? He was still making stuff on YouTube, and he had dropped the album. Um, but I looked a few days ago, and he just did a song with Lil Wayne, The Baby, Tory Lanez, and it's like I was just thinking like, dang, like people was telling me Jack Harlow, bro, he's the next one coming out of that area. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna make it. He's gonna be big. You know what I mean? Dude is fire. So I mean, but me, I never really listened to people during that time. Like I mean, I listen to him if I hear like JID. I listen to him before he really blew up, like right before,
Yeah.
when he released, was it the Never
Never
Story?
the story or something like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that album with Ed, Ed and Eddie on it.
Yeah.
So, and just seeing his freestyles like on Funk Flex and things like that. So it was, I rock with JID. And then for a while I just kind of stopped listening to him, and then he blew up. And but yeah, as far as the middle section go, I don't know. It could be like, it's more. It's hard to say if it's a section, like if it's a middle section, because it don't seem that concrete. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you move around into this area. You either go up, down, you stay stagnant. But it all depends upon like, one, how good you are. How people gravitate towards your music,
Mm-hmm.
and the work you putting in behind it. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I think it's some people that get to that point where it's like, yo, this dude finna blow up, and a year later it's like, what happened to him? You know what I'm saying? He never got a chance, got a shot, never blew up. So yeah, I mean Smino, and now it's like it's different. It's not like you gotta be everybody's number one. It's like it's lanes now. You got people taking their own way to get where they want to go. So, you know, but
Yeah, for that underground wave, like I'm still not sure what Mick Jenkins is to this day because he'll make a song with somebody who's fairly in that higher level, you know, but he's well known, you know, but he doesn't move past that. So I don't really know. But speaking of like artists right before they blew up, you know, Giveon, I remember it was in like January or February. And I remember sending my friend this video that he had. I forgot which one it was, but it was this really nice visual. And I was like, yo, I really want to do a video just like this. And then like 2 weeks later, he did the Chicago freestyle thing. I was like, yo, I just saw this dude. And like it's a weird feeling you get when you discover somebody before they pop off. Like there's this other artist named Umi right now, and she's popping off. And then just to look at how she came up, you know, like you could still scroll down like to her oldest feed and just see how she was moving then compared to now, and it's not too different, you know. Of course, it's just more attention, but it's just crazy how there's a certain format you have to move. There's a certain way you have to move in order to portray yourself as something bigger, you know. And it's kind of confusing on how they do it exactly. You know, you never give too much attention to the people. Because if you ever see anybody on Twitter who's trying to rise up, you know, they always interact a little too much, you know? And when you interact too much, you lose this feeling that you're something bigger than what you really are. And I'm not saying you shouldn't interact at all, but honestly, you got to keep that mysterious level to it, you know? You drop something, I don't even think you should really continuously post, like promote your thing, you know, because then it gets to someone's mind. It's just like, oh, come on, man, like I just saw you do this over and over again. But when you have people who you don't really know reposting your stuff, then it's just like you've reached a different level, you know, because you're not even asking them. Like, of course, when you first start, you got to have some of your friends do it, but not too much. And because I know there's a lot of artists that I know that just starting and they just post nonstop of like unreleased work, and it's like on the trap side, you know. So it's just like it's getting a little tedious and repetitive, and it's just like I don't really want to see this right now. Like, yo, you should probably start working on your craft. Like, even if you finna go in that lane, you know, be the best at that, you know. But I just don't. I personally need to be on that mysterious wave, you know, drop something that's well thought out, like video, visuals, everything about it is thought out and planned. You know, drop that, see if people gravitate towards it, right? See what happens, you know? And then from that point on, you know, you don't just keep dropping, right? You let it sit. Because, you know, have you heard the song by Monty Booker and Smino, Colors? They dropped that in 2015. And now that's just like just blowing up. You know, that's what's crazy about it. You could drop something now and it pop off in like 2023. And they didn't push it like that, you know? I remember listening to it way before like it blew up now. But they didn't just sit here and be like, yo, promote Colors, you know, like, yo, listen to my new single. You know, they just say it one time. And if you do it, you do it. And if they don't, you know, the next person will, you know? And I just really want to find out how exactly they do that, you know? That's what I'm studying.
yeah, I feel what you mean. Um, Cause I know, like with my own stuff for a while, like when I first started, if I put something out I really wanted to gain traction and like attention, I would send it to. I mean, I still do it depending on how I feel about the track. You know, I send it to everybody on my phone, like all my contacts, just to get it out there. And but now I'm at the point like I send it to certain people when I put it out. You know what I'm saying? Like certain people I know is gonna actually listen to it, cause it's a lot of people I could send it to that's not gonna listen to it. You know what I'm saying? And but that's just how it is. You kind of have to just keep going. Um, and I feel you as far as like the mysteriousness of certain artists, like Mick Jenkins. I think Mick Jenkins is good enough to like, you know, rise to a certain point, but I feel like he, like you said, the mysteriousness. I don't think he wants that kind of attention on him. You know what I'm saying? And Mick Jenkins is like one of my favorite out of Chicago. You know, he's cold. And I even look at Kendrick, you know, one of the greatest of this generation, and it's just so distant from the public eye. You know, you never catch him leaving a club or going somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't really see him or hear from him. And I mean, like you said, you want to be mysterious with your presence on like social media. And I look at Kendrick and I'm like, you know, I think that's by design. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's something that you definitely can do. You know, and me, I'm not that present on social media until I feel like it's time to put something out or to promote something. And even when I do, like, it's not heavy like some people. You know, I was watching this video a few weeks ago, and it was talking about promoting. He was saying like, if you don't, you have to put out at least 7 pieces of content a day on social media to gain some sort of relevance and attention. And one thing I hate the most about now is like, I'm not a social person like that. You know what I'm saying? Off rip in person, I'm just not that social. You know what I'm saying? So on social media, it's harder because I have to. Yeah, I gotta push myself to dedicate my time to this, and it's like I got other stuff I want to do, stuff I need to do, like school or actually working on music. You know what I'm saying? And they were saying that like to really gain that attention on social media and to see that build, you have to really dedicate time and effort into it. You know, it's not something that like me. I'll make a track throughout the day and won't post. I'll just say, you know what, I'm gonna post it, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't nobody see it. You know what I'm saying? And over the course of a few weeks, maybe 2 people, 5 people might see it. But I know like on the beat tape I just dropped last Christmas, the the first track, the title track, Let Love Be, is on. It got 415 plays now, and I've been watching it. Like 2 weeks ago, it was at like 380. So I just like every day I just kind of not every like when I go on SoundCloud I might just check it out at like 380, 387, 395. You know what I'm saying? So and I pushed that hard. You know what I mean? I promoted that for like maybe about a week, sent it to a lot of people, and really pushed it to. I wanted it to get attraction. You know, it was a tape of like what I felt were my best beats at the time. So it was like I want people to hear it. You know what I'm saying? Not for like gratification or like certification on what I do. It's like, you know, this is a tape of my favorite beats that I've made. Milestone kind of like saying, you know, I've been doing this 4 years since high school. I feel like at this moment, it's like, bro, these are the ones I be listening to. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's hard to kind of keep the mysteriousness now. I think now comes the music. You kind of if your music don't really say nothing that stands out, then you have to have that social media backing. You know what I'm saying? Like if your music sound like everybody else or it's just trash, it's like, bro, cuz it's a lot of trash people that make it far. You know what I'm saying? They know how to promote their music and yeah, it just comes now like honing in on your craft, rapping, producing and letting it speak for itself.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's definitely quality over quantity, right? But some people definitely do quantity over quality. But having better work, like I said, thought out work, it lasts way longer than something that's being put out every other week, you know? Because it doesn't mean anything, you know? When you sit there and make like 5 songs within like a 3-day period, you know? it doesn't have substance. You didn't sit there and think it out, you know? Is this, am I really putting a piece of myself within this music that people can understand, you know? And talking back to that mysterious presence, you know, Frank Ocean, yo, he disappears. Literally, you know, just like Kendrick, you don't know what he's on at all. But Kendrick, you know, before like he got to this like the top of the game, you know, he was more present, you know, especially with members of TDE, you know, Black Hippie, always around like Schoolboy Q and them. You know, like if you ever watched the Nardwar videos, like they would always be together, but he wasn't like, overly in the spotlight, you know. He just let his work speak for him. And you told me, you were the one who told me, oh, he started in like 2003, 2004. He's been working like since 17, and like, you know, where we're at, you know, we've been working on some stuff for a while, you know. So for us to just start actually taking it like 100% serious, you know, developing something, a craft, and putting it out there and letting it sit, even if it takes years for somebody to see it, you know? Because think about it, once you get to a spot that's so high, people are gonna look back and be like, yo, he dropped all these hidden gems, you know? And I just think like the right time, things will come, you know? But as for making stuff, I always love to just completely think it out. You know, I'm gonna take. It takes me a long time to write stuff. You know, because I always want to put a piece of myself into it, because it means the most to me. You know, this is my art. You know, whether it's drawing. You know, I used to draw a lot more. You know, what else that I used to do? Well, just in general, I always love to put how I'm feeling exactly into it. You know, so that even if you don't have the same like scenario situation as me, you can completely understand how I'm feeling in that present moment, you know. And I'm gonna continue to do this, and like to the end, no matter what. Because if I'm also trying to do film, you know, that's a part of me, especially in screenwriting. You write your own stories, and part of it's a reflection in you, no matter what it is. You know, you got to see the character within yourself. And going once again back to Frank Ocean's music, what makes his music so special is it's abstract. It doesn't mean exactly one thing. He doesn't just give it to you, you know? Yo, he could say one thing and then people on Complex and Genius would be like, this is what he meant. Probably not. Probably not. You don't actually know what he meant. You know, he didn't tell you. He just lets it sit, and then you just come up with however you feel. That's what I want to do with my music, to where, yo, if something that I said meant something really deep to you, then that's what it means. It means for you. But it means something different to me because I wrote it, you know? It means something completely different for each person. But that, I think having a part of that, that's the mysterious level in it.
Yeah, definitely. One thing uh, you said that the music has to have character. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember which, even though it was like a minute ago. You know, um, that these artists that are so huge, you know, and even you said that you try to put a piece of yourself in the music. Like a lot of people now, it's like a formula to music. You know what I'm saying? It's no creative process. It's like, you know, this is how this artist did it. This is how everybody else doing it. So it's how I'm gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? You know, but it's hard now to like. I think there's a lot of people who make good music that don't get the, the I'm not gonna attention, but they don't get the credit they deserve. You know what I'm saying? They don't receive a spot amongst, you know, some of the people who are up there at the moment. It's like, you know, I understand the norm of things and the sound and where it is right now and just how people like it, but it's like, you know, you got people that's really trying to speak in their music, say things, and it's just, you know, you see how how the norm of things is like there's no realness of self. in the music. You know what I'm saying? Like I think there's people in the industry right now that make music along the norm of things. Like the baby, I can't say that the baby isn't real because he sounds like what's popping. You know what I mean? I think the baby puts pieces of his music, pieces of himself in his music. You know, his life, things that he went through. You know, and he's able to make money off doing that. But I think it's other people that bite the sound and just kind of follow the kind of like the blueprint. You know, you say these things, you rap about these things, use this 808. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all just cookie cutter, and it's like, well, you know, you're not giving no room for nobody to really say nothing. You know about even like in people when they rap about their life, it's like all the same thing. You know, I did this. You know what I'm saying? I lived through this. This. I remember when they tried to shoot at us over here, and I mean, you know, it's like, well, like that's true. I can never say, you know, well, that's not true. That he didn't do that. He didn't go through that. But it's like for everyone to just be, you know, so close to one another and what they talking about and how they talking about it, it kind of raises like a red flag. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's like, well, I mean, do I even listen to music for what's real, or do I just listen to it cause it bang? Do I just listen to it cause you know the radio playing it? You know, and it's like, cause I talk to people about music like Kendrick. You know, like yeah, you know Kendrick one of my favorite artists, but a lot of people be thinking, you know, his music is boring, that it's not, it ain't nothing that they want to listen to, and I mean, I can't stop that. That's they preference. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's like my question be like, well, you know, what are the standards of music now? You know, is music a real, um, not real, but like, are there any guide, like anything, like any rules to this? You know, speak from the heart, say your honest truth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, as of now, I feel that music is at a low standard. You know, I was talking to my cousin, and I was like, "Yo, how come we can't get like?" I'm not asking for some conscious rap, you know, from like some of these newer artists, you know, because maybe that's just is far fetched, you know, it's too far. But can we get something that like is completely their own sound, right? Also a piece of them, but done in the most creative way possible. You can keep all the 808s you want, you know? You can keep that trap sound, but can you say it differently? You know? Like you're saying, a lot of people are going through the same things, and I can't be the one to say that like it didn't happen or like you're fake or something, right? But you as an individual have your own selective perspective, you know? So that means you can see it completely different than the next person, which means that's your own creative mind, you know? If this is music, if this is art, it's supposed to be creative, you know? You're supposed to look at it and bring whatever you have on your table to a different person in a completely different way, you know? It's supposed to be your own. That's what art is, you know? But when you're just copy and pasting formulas and the way how people make songs, you get nothing out of it. And I'm not saying you can't make it like that, but it's the chances of you blowing up when the person right next to you is doing the exact same thing is harder, you know? And I've never ever wanted to go on that trap side, you know? Because it's just not me in the first place, you know? Like gun talk, like that's just not me, you know? I can't go ahead and say like, "Oh yeah, I was down the street like blasting people." No, bruh. I was at the crib. I was at the crib watching I was watching Rick and Morty, bruh. You know, like I'm just doing me, but I could tell you stories about what I've gone through. You know, just because it's not gun talk, I could tell you how I'm thinking, like mentally, what I've gone through mentally, what I've seen, and how I can tell you other people's stories. You know, other people who have gone through similar stories of so and so that gun talk, right? Because I, growing up in Chicago, we always know somebody who's affected by it, you know? And I'm not ever gonna portray it as if that was me. I'm just gonna give you another perspective of another person that's close to me and how they felt, and they're still going through it because sometimes their story can't be said. You know, just giving another person that voice in a different way. But I just think that music could be so much better than what it is. You know, like most likely I could give you something closer to Mac Miller than I can to Lil Baby, you know? And the thing is, I feel that personally, if we actually wanted to, we could do something like Lil Baby and take it farther because we know what people want to hear. We know how to do this, you know? But by doing that, it's not real. And me as a person, I feel that I'm real, you know? I want to be something more than just like 100K real quick, you know, and then it's gone. It doesn't mean nothing because at the end of the day, money really doesn't mean anything, you know. So you could lose money, right? You could gain it back, but it's the time you have, you know. So talking about the time you've already spent on this earth and how much it meant to you and the things you saw, I feel like that means way more than sharing somebody a perspective that 500,000 other people just shared, you know. Like, I don't understand why you would continue the process. But then again, like I said, it's all subjective. If that's all you listen to, I guess that's all you can really bring to the table. So I guess if you really want to make better quality, you have to raise your horizon within the music you listen to. I think it'll start there.
Yeah, I mean that's a fact. You gotta change what you taking in to change what you put out. Um, and I was reading a book. It's like how to think successful or how successful people think, and they were saying like one of the key things to change your thinking is changing what you take in. You know what I'm saying? Like um, who you talk to, your surroundings, what you listen to, and it changes. What you put out in return. So that definitely makes sense. And you were talking about how, it's easy to follow. Get a push this sound, get 100K overnight, and it's like it's a whole science to it. You know what I'm saying? It's like adopt this sound, work at it, promote, 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 keep making. And it's like, I mean, it's really just a way to get money at the end of the day. So, but I can't knock nobody for doing that. I think we could talk and talk all day about like what music and stuff like that. But I think, there's never going to be a justifiable argument on our side because it's like, well, it's all subjective. You know what I'm saying? I think you said that it's all subjective, that regardless of how me and you feel about music and the standards that should be placed, you know, I'm not even gonna say standards that should be placed upon musicians, but I think standards that musicians themselves should hold for themselves. You know what I'm saying? I think like musician, like, well, if I'm really want to do this for the craft of it, for the art, um, to say something, to really make something out of this, it should be like, well, you know, I shouldn't feel like the only way I can do it is to do it how everybody else is doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, well, you a dime a dozen now. So, like, what do you really, how are you standing out? I think they're, like, you see different people rise. Like, when we were in high school, Lil Uzi, Kodak Black, and now it's like, the Baby, Meg the Stallion, different people come up at different times, but it's like all in the same vein. And maybe in the future, if the norm now isn't the norm then, we can look back and like, well, that was a section of hip hop, you know. And right now it might be hard to look at it as multifaceted because it's like it just all comes so fast. But like, well, you could say Lil Uzi is different from A Boogie or Kodak Black or Meg Thee Stallion or The Baby or Lil Mosey or whatever, and maybe we can actually sit back and be like, well, there was diversity amongst this time. You know what I'm saying? In the popular people, but Yeah, I don't know. It's I know for me, I try to keep like not a uniqueness, but just I just don't want to sound like everybody else.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
authentic.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sound authentic and just do what I like.
Yeah. I do believe going into the like 2020s and up, sound will change. They continue to change. I don't think we'll see the same type of artist for another like 10, 20 years. To be honest, I think that it could kind of die down, and I'm not like saying that there's like that I'm like happy that it's dying down, but within it, I see a new birth of like new type of music, a new chance for me to express myself in a different way. I feel that, especially as artists who make music, you're always looking for that new sound in order to further promote growth as a whole in the community as well as yourself. And I just think that we could always push it. But I think what we do best is keeping it us, if that makes sense. Like, I think what we could do best is tell a story of a black kid living in kind of so and so like a white world, but we're in a higher level, because we can't talk too much about poverty, but we could tell you the second level of the black experience, because there's a lot of black people exactly in our position, middle class black kids who living in white schools, who have gone to white schools, meet up with black people on the side, and you don't know exactly how to feel, because you feel that you can't relate completely with either sides, so you find like this void of being lost, you know. And I think that like Childish Gambino said this once in his song. He said like the the black kids like they need a role model. Middle class black kids, they need a role model, right? So that's what he tried to serve as, And I find myself looking at him a lot, because I'm going into film as if he could do it, I could do it. I'm not gonna give the same exact. I'm not in the same scenarios he was blessed with, and I might not be as smart as him, but he hasn't gone through what I've gone through. And I'm not saying what I've gone through is any worse than his, but I could say in a different way than what he's gone through. Like it's all creative and pretty much whatever you want it to be. It can mold into any way. And I think we don't even think about that anymore. When people sit down, they're not trying to give you the best of themselves within a piece of paper in like 64 bars. And that's what I try to do. I try to give you exactly what I see, through my lens. And I think that's not valued as much anymore. But you never know, because then again, we still have people who enjoy like JID, Boogie, you know. You still have people who enjoy those type of rappers. So it's not completely dead. And those people are on the come up too. Cuz somebody eventually has to replace Kendrick, Cole, and Drake. And how did they come up? Through that same type of music. It lasted longer. That Pound Cake song at the beginning. He said all that other bullshit is gonna last. It's here today. It's gone tomorrow. So it's literally gone tomorrow. Like yo, you got rappers who came up in 2016. Where are they now? And you can see like 21 Savage. Yo, his whole character, that's like true character development. And that's what I like to see. Someone's music developing over time. Like you can see Tyler, his music develop over time. He's not the same person screaming in Yonkers as he is in Igor. It's a different person. He's more creative. He honed in on his craft. You know, and I think there's certain rappers out there who still value it. And they still going even if they keep that trap lane. There's a way to do it in which you can still share your story and still make it pop. I mean, even I heard a small snippet. They deleted it from what Kendrick had, like on this new whatever he's cooking up. I saw it on Twitter one time. Like it was pretty good, but it kept that trap lane in it. Like it was with Baby Keem. So you know how Baby Keem moves. It's a lot more trappy, but it was still his own uniqueness with his voice. You know that one voice he does where it's just like, I don't want to do it here because he like it sounds weird. He's like, yeah. But that's interesting to me how he has different personas within his music. Even with Cole with Kill Edward. He always got different type of personas that you can do. Small things that you just thinking outside the box. I mean, if you're at the top of the game, why wouldn't you just sit there and think like, yo, I can literally do whatever I want with this music. I'm not at a point where I'm coming up, so I could literally expand and do literally anything I want with my music. Why wouldn't you take that time to like find something within yourself, put it on paper in a completely different way? Like you have free reign to do it.
I think like what you saying about being at the top and being like, I got all this space to do, like creatively speaking, to do what I really want to do. I think a lot of people get kind of nervous at the top. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause you like say if you get to the height of like Drake, Kendrick, or Cole, or you know what I'm saying. And Kendrick has definitely been someone that I looked at because of like the way he uses his voice as an instrument. You know what I'm saying? Like it reminds me of Andre 3000, and just the way he layers his vocals, the way he might pitch it up or down, just to kind of express a different emotion or a different tone. But it's like some people are afraid that, you know, if you come up for so long off a certain style, you know what I'm saying? Your fans know you for something. And, some fan bases are just not that forgiving. Like now, it's different because, I mean, one, regardless of what I'm about to say, the artists themselves shouldn't care. But I feel like some artists are afraid because, you know, if I change my style up, the fans might just turn on me. You know what I'm saying? They might, he changing. I don't like this new style. But I feel like fans gotta understand that the artists that you know, that you pay money to go see, you buy their merch, you buy their music, you know what I'm saying, that you go hard for, you gotta understand that they an individual. You know what I'm saying? They not something that you can dictate and control. It's like, well, if artists wanna say, I'm done with hip hop and I wanna lean into like a soul funk type vibe, you know, I mean, that's up to them. They can do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's fair that fans get this a power, you know what I'm saying, to just, I mean like cancel, like the whole cancel culture thing, And it's like, that's not cool. This person has put so much time and effort into their music over the years for you to for y'all. I mean, for them, but for y'all the fan base, y'all the ones listening to it and it's gravitating towards it. So I think you should have. It comes a point where the audience has to say, I can't really control that, but I might not like it, but I respect it. You know what I'm saying? Just off of what they have done, and the connection that an individual may take, or may create over time with an artist.
Yeah, I know Six Black said something. I forgot what song it was, but he was just saying how I could come up how they want me to, but I'd rather just keep on giving it my style until I come up, because it's the truest form of him. And like what you're saying, I think Childish Gambino is kind of like that. That last album he released, it was literally just whatever he wanted to put out. It wasn't really for us. It was just his creative mindset saying, yo, let me make something so abstract, you know? And I just find so much respect for him to do that. Because, first of all, he didn't even promote it, you know? He just dropped it on a website without saying anything. And I'm still trying to get the season 3 of Atlanta. So, like, I still need to know, what are you doing? But like you're saying, that's that fan power right there. You know, I feel entitled to something that like it's a part of them. How could I say what's wrong or right? And that goes back to the Chance thing that we talked about before. You know, they canceled him off of like one bad album, and they did the same thing to Big Sean. You know, and I feel that Big Sean definitely did not deserve it. You know, I decided, and even if you go back to like Hall of Fame and all of that, you know, he was consistent. He's a solid rapper. You know, and then they try to say what's corny or not, right? Yo, like back in the day, Motown, you know, they used to just spread the message of just love, you know, peace. Would that be considered corny? Because we literally don't have any positivity in this world, right? So if somebody's coming up here and preaching that, what's wrong with that? It seems like people just want to further, if they do have some type of like depression feelings, they just want it to like continue, you know, with emo, sad drill rap, you know, that's furthering you into this one-sided mindset that you can't really back yourself out of if the music continues like that. You know, cuz like if you're saying that like whatever you consume is like how you move basically, what you think of, right? You're only consuming that. You're not going to be free, you know? You're not going to be free. And I think that if you do, I'm not saying you go the logic route, you know, just straight peace, love, positivity, right? But if you instead try the Kendrick route, you know, you know, that was in a different type of way, you know, talking about the devil tried to put me in a bow tie, you know, all that in his own creative way where it wasn't just like, oh, be happy, you know, it was his lens while also putting this positive spin on it. And I'm still trying to figure out how to do that without being called corny, you know? Even though I still don't like it's not like I'm 24/7 happy, you know? It doesn't work like that, but within the game, you know, I still think music should have some positivity in it, you know? Cuz art as a whole is supposed to uplift people, bring new ideas to people that they wouldn't have had before if you didn't listen to this or see it. You know, when you go to like an art show, right? You can't really say that somebody's artwork is corny. You know, it's them. No matter what form they did it in, you know, it might have more vibrant colors, which gives you this feeling that it's happy, you know. But how could you say it's corny? But I guess music is different because it's verbal. You know, they're straight up saying like happiness or whatever. Yeah, literal. So I'm saying if you try to do that in a more abstract way, I think that might be the right approach, but I haven't really cracked down on how to exactly do that.
Yeah, I feel that. I think that comes into just how you execute, how you deliver your messages. Like going back to Kendrick, somebody that's very, um, how I say it, not, he's very hands on, you know what I'm saying? Very detailed in his work. So it's like when he's writing something, he's not, he wants it to come off, something you can understand when you hear it, but like how he says it or how he sets it up, um, like going back to the way he uses his voice as an instrument, using the high pitch versus the low pitch or stacking his vocals, you know what I'm saying? And it's like Don't Kill My Vibe was like one of the coldest songs, hype songs off Good Kid, Mad City. But if you like listen to it more, like the stuff he's talking about on the song, well, not Good Kid, I mean Don't Kill My Vibe, but swimming pools, you know, drowning in a pool of liquor, saying, like kind of his conscience talking to him, telling him how to get out of a bad situation, like people live to that song for a while and still do, because it's one of them songs that really stand out off that album. But for it to have like somewhat darker, not darker, but like intense message, and for people to react to it the way they did, you know, in a more positive light, it's like, you know, that song, he took those thoughts about himself and life and things he probably went through and put it and formed it in a way so it's like people could still party to it, still have fun to it. So it's not like they listening to it. It's like, dang, I don't want to drink. I don't want to have fun. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Not put you in a self conscious mode, but it's like if you really sit and listen to what he's saying, you know, not just listen to it for the you know, listen to it as a whole, as a song sonically, you know, how it might make you feel, but listen to what he's saying, it's like, wow, he's really talking about some tough experiences with alcohol. You know what I'm saying? So I think it just comes down to you creatively, you know, what you decide to do. I mean, shit, what anybody decide to do, me, you, whoever, but it's not the message, it's like how you package it, how you decide to like, you know, technical stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cause songs, making songs is like, it could be easy. You could find a beat and record, you know, do a overdub track or ad lib track, and that's simple. But you know, looking at listening to some of the guys that you know, the people that we like to listen to, you know, these songs took multiple takes of the same phrase or the same line, different takes of verses and stuff like that. I hear people saying that they take like 10, 15, 20 different takes of the same verse just to see which one they like. And even if they don't like it, they chop it up, piece it together, you know, the parts from each one that they like that they might think is the best. So, you know, it's definitely a process, but it just comes down to how you creatively thinking about, you know, how you want to do what you do.
Yeah, like how you're saying in swimming pools, how Kendrick portrayed it in two different ways. You know, you could dance to that song as well as sit there and really break down what he meant. But still, like again, you don't really know exactly what he means. Still, it's however you feel about it. But have you ever seen Andre 3000 like the Hey Ya song? Like you know, there's like that whole deeper message to that. Yeah, I thought that was crazy on how like he literally said, "Y'all don't want to hear me talk. Y'all just want to dance." You know, and he was talking about like this relationship he had with somebody who's like not really ready. You know, emotionally ready, and that's real. You know, that's even realer today than it was back then. I feel because like that's all people feel like they not even ready for it. You know, just something quick. You know, but you wouldn't get that by just dancing to it. Cause to be honest, I didn't even break that down. I was literally just dancing to it. And I was just like, yo, he literally said that. I didn't even know. And I just felt some type of way about that. But I think in the game we could be a lot more creative than we are now. You know? Like it's just crazy to me how if this is art, why aren't we making it art? You know? It feels like the rap game is just like a wall and somebody is just painting lines, you know? Everything is completely straight, you know? And the next rapper is the same way, just a different color, you know? So it's different, but it's the same, you know? And I just think we need to diversify how we create it. I'm not saying I'm sure there's some way to infuse different genres, different ways to saying your words, like not too much of a gimmick, but just creating something completely new. And I don't know why that hasn't reached a lot of people. That thought maybe it's too much work, you know. But as a musician, artist, creator, you know, who I want to do this my whole life, just create something. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it to the best possible way, you know. I'm going to think it completely out, no matter what it is, and I'll keep saying this until like I stop creating when I'm like 80 or something, you know. And I think there's a lot of good people out there who don't have a lot of opportunities that we have. You know, they don't have this group. They don't have people willing to help them. So for us to have something like that, I think we actually have to do this, you know. And for the next people to come up Cause you mean at the moment, you mean you don't have that next new rapper. I mean, you kind of have YB and Corday, right? But I feel like he's a little bit of a copy and paste of like a Cole, you know. And I don't have nothing a problem with that, you know, cause that's still him, you know. But if it could be done in his own way, you know, because there's a lot of influence in it, and as you said earlier, you know, you start off as your influence, and you make music from there, and he could always develop, you know. But I just think the rap game should definitely have more thought provoking ideas within it, even if it, as we said, that's how you live, you know. I just want to hear you.
Yeah, I feel you. Um, I think it's all. I mean, one thing I had to understand for like a lot of people, even I mean, just not even trying to analyze other people. You know what I'm saying? But like even in myself, really saying, okay, this is what I really want to do. This is what I want to say. This is how I want to sound when I say it. You know what I'm saying? It takes confidence in yourself. And now we live around a lot of people where self confidence isn't a, I'm not gonna say it's not a norm, but it's not very, you don't see it a lot in people. You know, people kind of portray that in a way. They try to act confident, but it's a lot of people that follow up under other people, you know, and just move in a way where it's like, well, what about you, bro? Like, what do you want to do? You know, you stay under this person, you do what this person do, you do what this group of people do, and you know, and I think with music, and I can speak on me, and not, you know, I don't want to just talk about other people, but you know, myself, I have songs that I've done that, you know, I just don't. Sometimes I just don't feel confident enough to be like, well, I'm gonna really sit down and promote it and put it out. You know what I'm saying? But it's not fair to automatically assume that nobody will listen. You know what I mean? Because we in the early stage where it's like, you know, we got some people that listen to it. You know what I mean? But it's we still trying to reach people. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it's scary sometimes, you know, especially with recorded tracks, not just beats. Like, you know, especially those first few times when you first hear your voice back, and it's like, you know, I hate hearing myself. Like, this isn't good. And then you might have people like, well, I mean, it's not actually not that bad. You know, you just got to keep working on it. And, but yeah, I think it really just calls for a confidence that a lot of people don't have. Or maybe don't have. It's just not strongly enforced in themselves. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be your ride or die. You gotta be the one to say, okay, um this is it. You know, when it gets to that point, you know, not just saying I'm gonna go this route and do this because I'm gonna just be lumped in there with a whole bunch of other people. You know, I think Kendrick, Cole, and Drake, you know, are three of the greatest now because during their, you know, their growth period, they really showed who they were as creatives. You know what I'm saying? They really showed their influences, what they liked, what they wanted to do with their music. You know what I'm saying? So, and they had confidence. They had, you know, I know when Kendrick dropped "To Pimp a Butterfly," he said he had wanted to do that for his freshman album instead of Good Kid, Mad City, but he didn't have the confidence to do it. So, you know, I think, and I be telling you sometimes, like you just gotta know your intentions and you know that you got it. You can do it. It's all, you know. Don't, you know, critique it, but don't over critique it to the point where you just completely tearing it apart. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what they gonna do when you give it to people. You know, they gonna tell you because they don't have no connection with it. They didn't spend the time recording this verse over and over and over again. They didn't spend time making sure the mix was cool. You know what I'm saying? So they gonna hear it in a second, be like, yo, it's alright. You know, like just alright. Like, you know, I put time into this. But I feel like that's where your confidence comes in, knowing that you can get a better response the next time you put the track out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think the confidence part is definitely a big part because it's not easy. I could sit up here and say, you know, I want to see the fullest version of you, but if you didn't dig down and like sort out some of your issues, you might not be able to pull that out yet. You know, because it's all mental. Because some things, some people, their trauma is just like really out there. You know, and it's hard for them to go back and grab it. You know, it takes time. But once you find this spot where it's just writing, when I'm writing this out, this is me reaching out to find it. You know, this is the part of me that I'm putting down, that I reached out so far. That might be one of my hardest insecurities. You know, I share to you now, and take it or leave it. You know, because another part, like you just said, not everybody's gonna like your music, but the same thing goes. You know, the reverse. So people are going to like your music. You know, and you really just have to sit with those who do enjoy your music, you know, because they appreciate you for you. They appreciate that light that you've shown onto them. And by them doing that, you can find peace in that. You know, I think a lot as artists, we get lost within our work, you know, and within ourselves, and always wanting this acceptance, you know. But I do think that through music, you could find that small part of just acceptance within your life. You know, I'm not saying it should be like the full blown reason you're doing it just for acceptance, because I mean that might be the wrong reason. You still gotta do this for yourself, you know. But that small void in you that like really just wanted to be accepted can come out, you know, and you could deal with that issue like accordingly, you know, in the right way. Because you know in the past you might not have dealt with it correctly, you know, because I think that's another problem we have in general. Going back to people's like traumas, we just don't deal with it correctly, you know, and that's something I could put in my music because I understand that a lot of people could relate to that. Not being able to talk about your issues, not being able to express how you feel at all. You know, the second black experience. I know a lot of black people have that feeling that like, yo, I can't really talk about how I'm feeling, you know, because people might not understand it. You know, the idea that we have to be stronger. You know, not even in general, just like guys. You know, the idea that like you can't cry about your issues. You know, you can't break down. You can't do anything like that. And then it's even more for just like black families in general. You know, they feel that you just like, oh, you feeling depressed. You know, you ever seen a meme where it's just like, oh, you depressed? You better depress them dishes. You know, like it's really like that sometimes. You know, but yeah, I just think that we don't really deal with these issues accordingly now. And I know that's for a fact though. So that's something I can talk about because I know it. That's a second layer. And I just hope to find my way and present that in the most creative and pleasing way possible. You know?
Yeah, it's those problems of like I know like toxic masculinity. Some people label it as just not being able to share your full, not be able to be like, well, I feel like this, or I want to say this, or you know what I'm saying. That you gotta have a whole, you gotta hold up a strong front, you know, like fake it till you make it, kind of. But I mean, I think that's part of the problem that like people don't connect with each other because it's like, well, I'm not allowed to do that, especially as a man, as a black dude. You can't. It's like, you know, you got to keep your guard up. You got to stay on your toes. So, you know, I can't dive into that. I can't indulge in, It's like, nigga, you vulnerable? Like, you can't do that. So we've been at this for 2 hours, man. You wanna keep going or? So yeah, we gon' moral of the story is be real to yourself. That's all I can say. It's N.O.B.S radio, no option but success.